Hello everybody, welcome to the Coaching Conversation. I'm Graham Wiley and I've been coaching business leaders for the last 2 decades. In this series we're going to explore some of the things I've seen and learned in that 2 decades and hopefully help you see how you can become more focused, more effective and hopefully happier in your life. So it's now time to sit back, relax and enjoy the Coaching Conversation. Hello everybody, in this edition of the Coaching Conversation I'm going to try and take you through the sort of experience I've had helping fast trackers move from being a manager to a director or a C-suite member. Often these people represent huge talent for the employer. They represent a great opportunity and at the same time for the candidate themselves, they're looking at this with some fear and trepidation because clearly they don't want to fail or miss the opportunity that they're being given. One of the key aspects of moving from being a head of a department to becoming a member of a board of directors is that you don't simply shed that functional responsibility. You're likely to be the operations director, the sales director, the finance director. But you're going to assume further responsibilities for the organisation as a whole. You're going to have the legal responsibilities. You could go to jail just like anybody else, whether that's through fraud, whether that's through any kind of health and safety issue, etc., etc., etc. But also, more importantly, with the word director comes responsibility for direction. The board is the delegated authority from the shareholders to actually execute the plan to build value for the shareholders and all the other stakeholders in the organisation. And so simply being a functional head, simply being a functional director doesn't fulfil that. You do have to be capable of embracing the wider context of the role. That can often mean a number of things that are not necessarily apparent. The first is you are now an ambassador of the organisation. In fact, you're the manifestation of the organisation. The way you behave, the way you are seen, the things you do, the things you say are the organisation. And so whether you feel it's right to have a them and us between the board and the rest of the management team or the rest of the employment team is really an irrelevance. The fact is, as a member of the board, you are legally and effectively the embodiment of the organisation and you must behave accordingly. Now, I'm not advocating any form of ivory tower. I'm not advocating that you don't deal with people in a natural and perfectly responsible kind of way. What I mean is you've got to see it through a different lens. One of the things I say to people who are embarking on this journey is it's a bit of a one-way street. If you are promoted to the board and for whatever reason it doesn't work out, you're almost 100% certain not to go back to your previous role. You're pretty much certain to get fired or moved into a far-flung, distant place away from this particular event. And therefore, there is a reasonable level of risk, and you should only take it knowing that risk. However, no one can prepare you entirely for it. There's no apprenticeship course you can go on. There's no real induction course that says you were a functional manager, read this book, study this piece online and suddenly you're equipped to be a director, because that's just not true. And every board that I've ever worked with, every board that I've ever sat on has operated differently. It's had its own characteristics, its own style, which came from the leader clearly, but it also came from that mix mash of all of the people that are on that board, or their personalities or their experiences or their styles, and it blends in to create something quite unique. And so therefore, from the person aspiring into this role, this person moving from head of to director of, you're never really going to know what it's like until you experience it. However, there's no room for imposter syndrome. There's no room for lack of self-confidence. You're being elevated for good reason. They believe that you can do this. They want you to do this. And indeed, they're putting their money where their mouth is. You're almost certainly getting all sorts of change to package and so on as this unfolds. So, as a coach, my job is often to help this particular person think through the kind of changes they're going to encounter. From joining the board, what does a board meeting look like? What's a board responsibility or community responsibility like? How are my staff going to respond? How are customers and other trading partners going to respond? What am I going to see? And how am I going to embrace that? Another part of the role of the coach is to help the coachee really understand that this is only one step, a big step, but it's only one step. It's not the end of your career unless you choose it to be. It could be the start of something else. With these wider experiences, with this wider knowledge, with this greater experience package, you may be eligible for something else, which could be become CEO at some point, if that is what you're looking for. And so as a coach, what you're trying to do is lay down the foundation stones for this very talented person to build the next part of their career on. However, as I said, it does come with a degree of menace. It comes with a degree of, if you're not successful, things will probably be more difficult than you want them to be. Now, that's not a reason not to take the opportunity, because clearly, if you don't take the opportunity, it may never come again. But it is a good reason to do so in the full possession of the facts. And that's specifically very important in terms of having a good coach who can, in an unbiased way, help you find out the best way to make the most of this opportunity. In the next edition, I'm going to talk about that next step. I'm going to talk about how you go from being a director, a C-suite member, to being the leader, the CEO, managing director, whatever that title is. So, if you found this useful, hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Bye. So, there you have it, the latest edition of the Coaching Conversation. Hope you found it interesting, hope you found it useful. You can find out more about our coaching programs at theexecutivemindset.co.uk. If you want to reach out, you can send me an email at theexecutivemindset@sagegreen.com. You can book a free 30-minute session at theexecutivemindset.co.uk, which will give you a really good feel for how coaching could help you. And if you've really enjoyed the session, do please rate us, do please give us a review. And nothing more for me to say other than see you next time.